about
Mm-hmm.
the characteristics of Americans and American culture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I hope you have a pen and a paper handy with you, because I would
Yeah,
want
sure.
you to make a note of it.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So if I ask you, do you have any idea about Americans? Have you read anything about them? Have you heard anything about them? Do
I've
you
conversed with
any idea about the population in America, and what kind of lifestyle do they live? What kind of person are they?
not exactly, but not very few things I know about Americans because I've been to
Okay.
America one in
Acha.
2016.
Okay. All right. So what have you observed there?
As in, like they're very open. They don't like they're very open about themselves. They don't. They're not very reserved, and they talk very like the English, the accent they're talking about. Usually, it's very easy to understand, but when we speak, it become very difficult to translate our language, to translate what we are trying to say. They find difficult to understand
Okay. All right.
at times, not every time, but at times they find difficult to understand
Okay.
what we are talking.
Okay, all right. So if I talk about, if you remember that I talked about neutral accent the other day,
Yes.
right? Neutral accent is an accent which is free from any kind of MTI, right? So what happens is, even if we try and speak with Americans, or
Mm.
for any, if we try and speak with any foreigner using neutral English, that is not a problem. The problem arises, like as you have just mentioned, that at times they they
They
are
find
unable to
difficult to
understand
understand.
us,
Yeah,
right?
they are unable to.
So so if they are telling us to repeat ourselves again and again, that means there
Mm.
lies a problem. Okay, there are people who can communicate very well with the foreigners even by using neutral accent. However, if they are telling us to repeat ourselves more than once or twice, then there is a problem. That means that we also need to work on a neutral accent,
Okay.
right? Okay. So what I'll do is I'll give you pointers about this American culture and the characteristics, and later I will ask you to prepare a presentation on that day,
Mm-hmm.
on this.
Okay.
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 All right. So first point you can make a note of is, just make a note of first point, that America is enormous. America
Mm-hmm.
is enormous. Okay. It is the third largest country in the world.
Third largest country.
Right. It is the third largest country in the world, with a population of more than 300 million people.
More than
Okay.
300 million. Okay.
Right. More than 300 million people are there in America. Right. Next point is, Americans believe in freedom of choice. Okay, they want their own freedom.
Mm.
Okay, next point you can write down, Americans come in all color, like people
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
different types of
Different, different,
religions.
different
Different,
countries, different cultures.
people of
Yeah.
different religions live in America, and they speak
Only
many
40,
languages from all over the
only
world.
40, I think only 60% are white, and rest of the population is black or Indian Asians, if I'm not wrong.
Right, percentage I need to check, because this is
Yeah.
and this is some
Coun-
information, right? So percentage I'm not
Country,
sure about.
what was it? A country is full of like
You
country.
can say Americans, uh, I mean, people of different religions live in
Okay.
America, and they speak many languages from all over the world.
People from different culture and countries. Accepted. speak different language. Okay.
Different languages, not language, languages,
Okay, different languages.
right? Next is they are extremely independent. Americans are extremely independent, individualistic, and like to be different from
In,
each other,
individualistic.
right?
Could you spell out for the individualistic?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Individual?
absolutely. Write down individual
Yeah.
and add istic after that.
I, uh, IST.
I,
Okay.
ha, ha, istic.
Okay.
Okay, and they like to be different
IST?
from
IC. I,
istic.
IC. Okay.
I'll
IC.
just repeat. I'll just repeat.
Hmm.
INDIVIDUAL
Okay.
Okay. So can you pronounce this?
Yeah, ma'am.
Individualistic.
Individualistic.
Correct. Right. And they like to be different from each other. Right. Write down next pointer. Okay. So once you are aware about the characteristics of Americans and American culture, it will be much more easier for you to converse with an American. Getting my point?
Mhm.
He will know that, okay, probably you have visited Americans more than once or probably multiple times because you know American culture and Americans so well. Right? So you should know why you should be aware about American culture and the characteristics of Americans. Right? And that is the only reason why I want you to prepare a presentation on this. I will tell you the
Okay.
date when you're supposed to present this presentation. Okay.
Okay. It will be
Probably
done.
I might ask other people to join this call if you are
Okay.
comfortable.
I'm okay with it.
Hmm? Okay, all right. So we'll move on to the next point. Okay, how many points you have written?
4,
One,
ma'am.
two, three, four. Okay, all right. Now write down 66% of Americans are overweight,
Yeah, true.
right?
Because they usually on the
They are
diet
fond of eating
on
fast food a lot.
fast food, and they what we call it. They usually don't call Coke and Campa. They call it. I think I'm not getting the word. I'll get back to you with the word.
Soft drinks,
No,
hard
not
drinks.
soft drinks. No, they don't use hard drinks. They don't use soft drinks.
Okay, you
I
can
tell
tell
you
me
the
in
word.
Hindi.
No, I'm not getting the word actually.
Acha, not a problem. You can let me know.
Okay,
Then.
okay.
Okay. Okay,
66% of America.
66% of Americans are overweight and 37% of those are obese. Do you understand what
Americans are
obese? Obesity?
full
Do
of
you know what obesity?
obesity.
What is
Yeah,
obesity? What is that?
obesity. Obesity is like fats related to fat. They are usually eat lot fattiness. I think
That
obesity
is
is very
fine. So, can you define
yeah
a person who is overweight and who is obese?
obese. Overweight and obese. Obesity.
Do you have a
That's
computer
it.
right in front of you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, write down obese. OBESE.
OBSE.
OBESE.
Obesity
Okay.
is complete is involving excessive amount of body fat. That
Ha.
obesity.
I want you to look at
Yeah.
the images of people who are obese. Click on images.
Okay. So
Basically, whose
overweight is
tummy,
something whose
who,
body mass index increases more than their, I think, related to body mass
right.
index.
It means
Underweight, normal, overweight, obese. Okay, it shows the index of body
their
mass. Like
tummy is, you will see that their tummy is coming out and they have a huge tummy. People who are
hmm
obese.
Americans are overweight or obese. 60,
Both.
56%. Both
66% of Americans are overweight and 37% of those are obese. Out of 66%, 37% are obese.
out of 66, they are 37%.
Hmm. So you can say 66% of Americans are overweight and 37% are obese,
The
basically.
dictionary says that they're not giving me the very like it's giving me a definition very fat. The way is not very healthy. That's what it's
That
obese.
obese means, like, you must have seen people whose tummy is so
Over
big.
so big.
ओवरवेट से
Okay,
भी थोड़ा सा आगे, ओवरवेट
got
से
it, got
भी
it.
थोड़ा सा आगे,
I
है ना?
got it,
हाँ,
got it,
हाँ,
got it.
ओके, ऑल राइट. नेक्स्ट
Like
पॉइंट.
like for yeah.
या
No,
टेल मी.
no. Like for example, individual some individual height is 70, sorry, 5.10 and his weight is 80, so he will be called overweight. But if his weight is more than 100, then it will be he we can relate we can call him obese, if I'm not wrong.
लाइक अ पर्सन हु इज मैसिव.
Yeah, massive.
मैसिव,
Like I say,
ह्यूज.
like I said, huge. Like if the normal weight should be the normal range for the 5'10" height is between 7 to 75.
राइट.
If it exceed more than 100, then he might
हाँ,
we may call him obese.
correct.
He
So
might
by
be
looking at the
suffering.
person, right, by looking at the person, you can easily get to know whether a
Judge him.
person is overweight or obese.
Okay, we can judge him by his look.
Right. Next, you can write down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, now Americans also use a lot of slangs. Okay. So you should
Mm-hmm.
also be aware of this, the kind of slangs and idioms they use. Okay. So the next point is about that only. Americans need a lot of elbow room.
Americans need,
ELBOW, elbow room.
what's that? What's that, man?
Can you guess? Guess, it's just a guess, wild guess.
Elbow room. मतलब, as you said earlier, they use slangs, idioms. मतलब कुछ भी मतलब not in a proper English. They say they
Okay,
just
so
use any
basically,
slang.
no, this point is not related to idioms and slangs. I just
Okay,
told you because there was an idiom in this
okay,
point.
okay.
Getting my point? Okay, all right. So it means that
Americans.
they need a lot of space around them.
Okay.
They
Elbow.
need, that means they need a lot of elbow room. It's a kind of idiom. Elbow room.
Okay.
Getting my point?
So you.
Elbow room is an idiom,
Mhm.
right? Which means they like personal space around them. That means they need good space around them to work or to move around.
Personal space. Idiom आपने use करा and उसका meaning है they
हाँ,
need
हाँ,
personal space
ये
around
वो
them.
यूज करते हैं अमेरिकन, एल्बो रूम.
अच्छा, I need some elbow room.
Right,
Give me some space.
right.
Okay.
And do.
We usually say give me some space. I need some time. They usually say give me a elbow room.
हाँ, नहीं, गिव मी सम टाइम तो अलग हो गया ना. गिव मी सम टाइम,
अच्छा,
दैट मीन्स यू नीड सम टाइम टू वर्क ऑन अ प्रोजेक्ट.
अच्छा,
दैट मीन्स इफ
अच्छा.
यू वर्किंग ऑन अ प्रोजेक्ट, you need some more time to work on that project. That is a different thing.
No, give me some personal space.
हाँ, personal space, or I mean, they like to, mm, like in terms of space, if I talk about, they need good space to work.
To move freely.
Right. To move freely, or to, like, they need their space. They need good space to work, basically. That's one and the same thing. Na? They like personal space around them. That means
Okay.
personal space kya hota hai? Like, for example, if you're sitting in this room, you need good amount of personal space so that you can do your things easily. You can manage your things easily.
Like we are scattered in a room. They
Right.
usually say there's not enough elbow room in the room.
Right. If the office is small, then you can say that there's
Offices.
or the room
Got
is slow, you can say. Got it?
got it.
Okay, all right, fine. Next, write down. Okay, out of 3.5 million people, approximately 1% of Americans are homeless.
Out of 3%.
No, 3.5 million people.
3.5 million. Okay.
हाँ,
How
approximately
much?
1% of Americans are homeless. All right. Okay, now Americans talk easily to the homeless people. Okay, they don't have problem talking to someone who's homeless, but they're very judgmental and
Hmm.
very careful about people to whom they speak to. Right? It means
So write down the.
generally they are judgmental. They are very careful about whom they are speaking, but if it comes
They are
to people
judgment.
who are homeless, they are okay talking to them.
Very careful while conversing people.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. All right. Now you can say next pointer is Americans follow the rule of law. I mean, they follow the rule of law.
As in,
I mean, they follow law.
okay. तो
रूल
सभी
ऑफ लॉ
करते हैं.
मतलब अपना कानून फॉलो करते हैं अपनी कंट्री का.
अच्छा. They Americans.
दे फॉलो द रूल ऑफ लॉ.
मतलब इंडिया में कम करते हैं.
इंडिया में तो करते ही नहीं ना. वो दे वेरी पर्टिकुलर अबाउट दैट.
The Americans are very particular
दे फॉलो द रूल
to
ऑफ लॉ.
follow to
और फिर
follow,
आप अपने हिसाब से आप
follow.
उसको वो कर लो.
हाँ कोई दिक्कत नहीं. Okay.
नेक्स्ट राइट डाउन. Many people, especially teenagers,
Many teenagers.
wear strange clothes.
True.
And
Strange
many
clothes.
have tattoos and body piercings.
Many got tattoo embers on their body as well as नहीं बॉडी पे तो कराते कराते
हाँ,
हैं बॉडी
tattoos and body piercings.
बॉडी बॉडी पियर्सिंग. ओके.
Okay, now next write down. And I would like to know the meaning of this. First, you write down the point and let me know. Okay. First is littering. Have you heard this word littering?
या गन फैलाना.
Right. Spelling?
लिटरिंग LITE. लिटरिंग.
Litte.
oh yeah LI एक let me just try to first.
No problem.
लिटरिंग LITTERING.
RING. Okay. So it means throwing garbage on the street, right?
throwing. Yeah, throwing
Next.
garbage. Yeah.
Next, write down graffiti and tagging. Graffiti and tagging.
Spell out please.
G
Graffiti
R
का.
A G R A
GRA
double FITI
FFITI
I and tagging.
tagging.
TAGGING. Tagging.
Tagging means tagging people.
नहीं नहीं, ये
like
वो
like
सोशल
we.
मीडिया वाला टैगिंग नहीं है.
अच्छा.
ग्राफिटी एंड टैगिंग मीन्स व्हेन समवन राइट्स ऑन द वॉल. जैसे इंडिया में कुछ भी लिख देते हैं उसमें दीवारों पे, वो दैट इज राइटिंग ऑन द वॉल. Within the bracket, you
अच्छा.
can write down the meaning of graffiti and tagging is writing on the wall.
Okay.
And next is loitering.
Graffiti.
Loitering.
Is it related to washroom? No. No. I've not heard about this word.
Loitering means standing
Loitering.
around,
Loitering.
standing around and doing nothing. मतलब
L
बिना बात के
L O
खड़े
double
हैं.
T.
हाँ,
Loitering.
LOIT
Mm-hmm.
ERING.
Loitering.
It means standing around and doing nothing. Within the bracket, you can write down standing around and doing nothing. Okay.
Without any obvious reason, just walking around
मतलब बिना
without.
बात में खड़े हैं, कोई काम भी नहीं है.
हाँ समझ गया.
right? So write down. They are against the law.
Stand or walk without any obvious reason.
They are against
So
the
yeah, what do
law.
you, but usually they don't use such words. I think loitering and all. Well, I've not heard from there.
Loitering. No,
Yeah,
no, they do
stand.
loitering.
Okay.
In fact, we use this in India also. Littering and loitering we use here also.
Littering I've heard. ग्राफिटी मैंने थोड़ा सुना हुआ है दो फिर भी ये थोड़ा सा नया वर्ड है मैं लॉटरिंग
No problem, no problem. ठीक है, लिख लो. Are against the law and are punishable by a fine or jail.
कौन
If
सा पॉइंट
any,
लास्ट पॉइंट
ये पॉइंट पूरा एक ही है. Littering, graffiti
हम्म
and tagging,
हम्म
then loitering are against the law and are punishable by a fine or jail.
ओके पनिशेबल बाय लॉ ठीक पनिशेबल बाय लॉ ठीक है
ठीक है, like if any American is fined doing any of these, then
लॉटरिंग
he
ओके
will be fined.
गॉट इट
Okay, next point. Okay, discriminating against or making any insulting statement.
डिस्क्रिमिनेट
Discriminating against or making any insulting statement.
discriminating and insulting
Making any insulting statement
okay making okay
about someone else's
mm-hmm.
religion or ethnicity.
making making could you please come out come
Yeah,
again ma'am discriminating
discriminating against or making any
against
insulting statement
mm-hmm.
about someone
against and
else's religion
about someone's
else's religion
religion
or ethnicity.
some
Someone else's, ELSE apostrophe S.
एक मिनट someone के बाद क्या बोला आपने
Someone else बोलते हैं ना, someone
someone
else
else
लिख
okay
के apostrophe S लगा लो उसमें. Someone else's मतलब किसी के भी religion के बारे में अगर किसी ने कुछ
someone
बोला.
else
हाँ,
someone else and
else's religion
ethnicity
or ethnicity, ETHNICITY, it's one and the same thing, is
yeah
against the law and could be punishable as a hate crime.
is against his law and is punishable ठीक है
Okay, next write down, like Americans are a habit of asking how are you,
mm-hmm.
right? So it means how are you is a kind of greeting. That does not mean that they're
but
asking about your health.
they usually use slangs for this how's your day today
No, no, no,
uh, not exactly this
no, no. Most of the time, like whenever they ask how are you, it does not mean that they're asking about your health. Okay,
mm.
it's a greeting which they use to ask you how are you. Okay, write down. Asking how are you is simply a greeting and is not a question about your health.
simple greeting not bad not about not the question sorry not question about your health well, usually they start the conversation with this only that's what
No, no, they are
I've
not saying that like the
yeah,
way
how are
we
you
say
doing
good morning, hi, how are you, right? So
mm.
even if an American asks, how are you doing? So
How are you
that does
doing
not mean that you
how's your day
uh, वो हम करेंगे, ग्रीटिंग्स हम करेंगे, ये इट्स जस्ट अ पॉइंट कि इफ एन अमेरिकन आस्क्स यू हाउ आर यू, दैट डज नॉट मीन ही इज ट्राइंग टू आस्क यू अबाउट योर हेल्थ. गेटिंग माय पॉइंट?
डिटेल में नहीं जाना चाहता, बस सिंपल सी बात.
हाँ, ठीक है. नेक्स्ट इज, भाई फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ यू आर स्पीकिंग टू एन अमेरिकन ओवर द फोन एंड इफ यू आस्क यू हाउ आर यू, so you should not, you know, you should not misunderstand him, right?
Yeah.
So just for that sake, आपको पता होना चाहिए ना कि मतलब in what context they're asking you how are you. Getting my
So
point?
what is the apt reply for this? How is doing? Like, I'm doing fine.
Pretty
That's it.
good, pretty good,
Pretty good. I'm doing fine.
all
Doing
well,
great.
pretty good.
Doing
We'll
great.
do greetings
This is
also, we'll do greetings also,
okay.
don't worry. Okay, it's
Okay.
just the first day.
Okay.
Okay, one last point and then I'll have to wind up the session,
Okay, no problem.
है ना, because I have a next session वहाँ
Yeah,
already हम
sure,
15
sure.
मिनट, है ना,
You,
बाकी हम
you
कम.
provide, you do one thing, ma'am. You provide me your Skype ID. Next time we'll connect on Skype.
हाँ हाँ, श्योर श्योर, मैं भेज दूंगी भी आपको. ठीक है, आप फटाफट लिख लो लास्ट पॉइंट. अमेरिकन स्माइल अ लॉट,
Americans
smile a lot,
smile a lot.
and talk easily to strangers, sharing
Strangers
personal stories.
and sharing their personal experience with them.
Personal stories, हाँ, experience.
Stories and experience.
हाँ. ठीक है, so आज के लिए we'll just wind up, and I want you to give like whatever brief I give you about today about American culture and the characteristics of Americans. You will tell me, like we'll start with that, you will brief me about the same, and then we'll move ahead.
Is it possible that we can have half an hour classes every day instead of
Absolutely,
1 hour session?
absolutely. आप स्काइप कर लो एंड एग्जैक्टली विल स्टार्ट एट 11 to 11:30 कर लेंगे, कोई प्रॉब्लम.
11 to 11:30. मतलब Monday to Friday.
हाँ, मंडे टू फ्राइडे कर लेंगे, हाफ एन आवर.
Half hour. In case if I need 1 hour, I'll let you know 1 day prior.
हाँ हाँ, नो
Okay.
प्रॉब्लम.
ठीक है ना? ठीक है ना? Okay, because I have some got to even
नहीं
I
नहीं,
get some
इट्स
work.
ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम. ठीक है
ठीक है.
हर्षित, so
ठीक है.
I think that's it for today. Let's connect tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye
all
bye.
right, bye.
See you.
Okay.